Episode 2, The Land of Retribution. Listen closely, dear listener, as we journey once more into a realm where fate and divine justice collide. Our tale picks up with Osato, a man whose days were once filled with the sweat of honest labor and whose nights concealed a darkness even he could not escape. One fateful afternoon, as the blazing sun dipped toward the horizon, Osato left his familiar farm with a heavy heart and an unspoken restlessness. Instead of retracing his well-worn path home, he veered onto an unfamiliar road, a dusty, winding trail that beckoned him with silent promises of something unknown. As Osato trudged along, the landscape around him transformed. Fields gave way to a dense grove of ancient trees whose gnarled branches whispered secrets in the wind. The road, though ordinary at first glance, seemed to pulse with an otherworldly rhythm. "What is this place?" Osato murmured to himself, his voice echoing off the trees. His curiosity battled with an inexplicable dread, yet he pressed on, unaware that every step was drawing him deeper into destiny's labyrinth. Before long, the familiar outlines of his home were replaced by an imposing sight, a colossal palace that loomed in the distance, its towering walls and intricate carvings shimmering like a mirage under the late afternoon sun. But this was no home, it was the grand estate of a powerful woman named Itohon. And, remarkably, her name resonated with the one he knew at home. Osato's mind reeled. Was it possible that fate had woven a cruel tapestry to mirror his own life? As he neared the palace, two enormous guards emerged from the shadows, their armor glinting with an eerie light. Without a word of warning, they pounced on Osato. "Who dares wander near the palace of Mistress Itohon?" one bellowed, his voice as deep as thunder. Osato tried to protest, his voice raw with confusion. I am but a humble farmer returning home." But his pleas fell on deaf ears. The guards, indifferent to his protest, yanked him violently to the ground, stripping him of his clothes as if to strip away the very identity he had built over years. "Silence," commanded the second guard as he roughly bound Osato's hands. "Your fate is sealed." In that disorienting moment, Osato felt himself thrust into a world where his strength and reputation meant nothing. He was hurled into the bowels of the palace, where darkness and despair reigned. Within hours, Osato discovered the horrifying truth: he had unwittingly crossed into the mystical Land of Retribution, a realm where the gods themselves exact punishment on those who inflict cruelty upon others. Here, the mighty are humbled, and the wicked are stripped of every privilege. Once a respected farmer, Osato was now condemned to the life of a lowly servant. Days merged into weeks as Osato's new reality unfolded in relentless misery. The palace, with its opulent facade, concealed a brutal underbelly where punishment was meted out without mercy. Every morning, as the first rays of a somber sun broke over the horizon, Osato was dragged from his meager sleeping quarters and forced to perform grueling tasks. He toiled in vast, unforgiving gardens, his back bending under the weight of heavy burdens. "Serve well, or the gods will not be kind," came the harsh admonition from a stern overseer. The overseer's voice, cold and unforgiving, was a constant reminder of the divine justice that now loomed over him. Osato would often cry out, his voice raw with anguish, "Please, have mercy. I beg you." Yet, the silence that followed was a deafening verdict, a sign that the gods had already pronounced their judgment. In the languid hours of midday, while Osato toiled under the scorching sun, he began to encounter fleeting moments of dialogue that cut through the oppressive despair. One such moment came when he was passing a fellow servant, a wizened old man whose eyes sparkled with a mix of sorrow and resilience. "Tell me, brother," the old man rasped, leaning on his worn staff, "do you believe the gods care for our suffering?" Osato's reply was barely a whisper, laden with the bitter taste of regret. "I once believed in justice, in mercy. But here, I fear I have been forsaken by both heaven and earth." The old man's response was a quiet murmur, "In our darkest hours, we must cling to hope, even if it flickers like a dying ember. For every shadow, there is a light waiting to break through. Though these words offered little comfort in the face of his daily torment, they sparked within Osato a flicker of introspection, a chance to reconsider the life he once led and the man he had become. As the days bled into each other, Osato's body and spirit were relentlessly battered. His once proud countenance became a canvas of scars and sorrow, each mark a testament to his misdeeds and the gods' unyielding retribution. Floggings punctuated his days, his cries echoed through the cold stone corridors of the palace. Still, every time he raised his voice in despair, the silence of the heavens mocked him, offering no reprieve. In rare moments of solitude, when the palace corridors were quiet and the night stretched out in an endless canopy of stars, Osato would speak aloud to the silent gods. "What have I done to deserve this fate? Is there no mercy for a man who has lost his way?" His pleas, carried away by the wind, were met only with the haunting stillness of an uncaring cosmos. One evening, as Osato labored under the flickering light of a dying lantern, he overheard a hushed conversation between two guards. "They say Mistress Itohon wields the power of the gods," one guard whispered, his tone a mix of awe and fear. "Those who cross her path are doomed to suffer until they learn the true meaning of penance." The words sent a shiver down Osato's spine. Could it be that his journey into this realm was not random but a deliberate act of divine punishment, a chance to redeem himself? In the midst of his suffering, a rare spark of defiance kindled within Osato. Though his body ached and his spirit trembled, he resolved to seek an answer to the unbearable questions that haunted him. "If this is my penance," he murmured to himself one twilight, "then I must learn from it. I must find a way to redeem the man I once was." Yet, every step toward redemption seemed fraught with further indignities. On one particularly grueling day, as Osato was forced to carry water from the palace well to the sprawling kitchens, he encountered a young servant girl named Amora. Her eyes, bright with unshed tears and quiet determination, met his for a fleeting moment. "Sir, why do you look so lost in your sorrow?" she asked softly, her voice cutting through the oppressive silence. Osato paused, leaning against the cool stone of the well. "I am lost in a land where even the gods seem to have forgotten me," he replied, the words heavy with remorse. "I once believed I was a master of my destiny, but now I am nothing more than a broken man, punished for my sins." Amora's gaze softened with empathy as she replied, "Perhaps, in our brokenness, there lies a chance for healing. Remember, even the mightiest tree must sometimes bend in the storm, only to stand taller once the winds have passed." Her words resonated deeply within Osato. In that brief moment of connection, he felt the stirrings of a new resolve, a determination to understand the lessons hidden within this land of retribution. But even as hope flickered in his heart, a lingering question remained: was his journey here meant only to punish him, or to guide him toward a path of redemption and transformation? Now, dear listener, as Osato's fate hangs in the balance and his struggle for redemption intensifies amidst unyielding cruelty, we are left with an unsettling mystery. In this mystical land where divine justice is both a curse and a chance for rebirth, can a man so deeply broken ever reclaim his honor? What secret lies behind the god's silence, and will Osato's journey through this unforgiving realm ultimately lead him to salvation, or plunge him further into despair? Watch out for the answers to this in the next episode. Thank you for watching.